Men face 2 years imprisonment for sending dick pics to strangers in England and Wales. This was a topic from the website withinnigeria.com. It's posted about 2 weeks ago by Edekunla Adekunle Dada. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
God.
So, men who take part in cyber flashing by sending dick pics to strangers face up to 2 years in jail and be made to sign sex offenders register in England and Wales. Cyber flashing is when a person is sent an unsolicited sexual image on their mobile device by an unknown person nearby through social media, messages, or other sharing functions such as airdrop.
Oh,
Uh,
bro. A lot of, bro. I remember a lot of niggas was doing that bullshit back in middle school.
yeah, because
Wait, actually, no. iPhones came out in middle school, did they?
Uh, about so yeah.
Okay.
Maybe like depending for you, maybe like late elementary.
But
But
I
yeah,
mean
just
like the
about
air.
no school.
But I mean like the airdropping method. Like,
Oh, airdropping shit. I think that was a little. I think that was a little while ago.
yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, they. Oh my god.
yeah,
I
like
just
what's your thoughts on that?
like. Why would you? So it was about like dick pics of like whales and shit.
No. It's in England and Wales. Wales is a country.
Okay.
WALES. Yeah,
Whales.
Wales.
I didn't know. I didn't know that was a country.
Yeah, yeah. It's part of the UK.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, so like I think it's like Scotland, England, Wales, and like Northern Ireland. I believe so. Yeah, but it's like in England and Wales, like now they're starting this whole thing to where it's like a person who sends like a dick pic or something like that to somebody or a stranger, or I'm guessing just anyone who doesn't want it can now face up to 2 years of imprisonment and uh and what was it?
You said register as a
Yeah.
sex offender.
Yep, register as a sex offender in England and Wales.
Mm.
It's called cyber flashing. According to the Mail Online, there's currently no law directly addresses cyber flashing in England and Wales, despite the fact that the act being made illegal in Scotland around 12 years ago. But now there's a move to reflect penalties for indecent exposure in public. Cyber flashing is set to be included in the Sexual Offenses Act 2003. I like okay, it's like it was a thing that people did start doing a lot, especially when phones started coming out on about and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Some people would troll. Motherfuckers would get on like Omegle and then just like fucking helicopter swing their dick around or something like that on some weird shit. Like people do like a lot of weird
Yeah.
things. Like, and it's like yeah, like, but I don't know, cause it is like similar to like indecent exposure, but it's like a dick isn't gonna ruin your life. Like seeing a dick on a screen, I don't think it's gonna ruin your life. Like honestly, I mean that's just me. I mean I don't know like how other people feel about it or whatever, but like I don't think it's that serious. Like yeah, I get like indecent exposure like in public, like like running through the street naked and stuff like that.
I think I don't know. The other side of the country, like they're really strict when it comes to their laws. So I do feel like it is kind of harsh per se, but I mean, as long as it's not like child pornography,
Yeah, of course
then
not. Yeah,
yeah. As long as it's not child, like as long as it's not like child pornography. Like if someone sends you like a dick pic, is just like let's say some dude sends another person a dick pic. Like
hmm
like I can't really say it shouldn't be that much of a big deal. But now it's
yeah,
like if they keep harassing you, sending you dick pics, then
hmm
yeah, that should be taken to the authorities and you should press charges and something serious. But you just send like maybe like just one explicit photo to another person.
Yeah.
At most like I would say that would seem probably an ass whooping, but
And see the thing is like I understand like a lot of like women's side of the argument when they say like, oh, it's unsolicited, who said they want to see it, blah blah blah, this and that.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, cool. But
Hmm.
like my problem is like the gray area and like how they define a lot of these things because like recently like in the media and stuff like that I've been seeing like a lot of laws being tailored towards like kind of making men more responsible for like a lot of things that like they do or don't do. Like it was some crazy story that we talked about like about a month or two back about like men who lie or something like that to get a woman in bed is like he can be punished with like a crime or some shit like that. And it's like I'm
Oh
yeah, it was something
yeah,
along those lines
yeah.
of that. It
Because
was like
basically,
if like a guy lies about like his income or like something to that nature to
no,
get in bed
it was
or
actually a story.
mhm.
A dude was saying like he was rich and all that stuff
Yeah.
to his like I guess now ex fiance no ex wife or whatever,
Mhm.
or ex fiance or whatever, and come to find out like he has none of those stuff, and
Yeah.
I think he has like another family and
Yeah.
whatnot.
And then
So
there was like a story to where they're trying to make that a law somewhere. I think it was like in Pennsylvania or like California or some shit like that.
really,
Yeah, like we did talk about it briefly. It was like real brief, but
hmm
yeah, it was something to where they were trying to make it a law for a guy. It was illegal for a guy to like lie about like his like fucking money or anything like to get a woman to sleep with him or something like that. I think they
hmm
were trying to like say that it was like sexual harassment or like rape or some shit like that. And then like
how the
and like when I see like laws like this because like nothing in here said anything about women, right?
uh-huh.
And it's like say for instance, right, here's like the gray area I'm worried about with this law in particular, wherever that they're implementing in like England and Wales,
Yeah.
is like what if the guy isn't a stranger? Like what if the guy like knew the girl, they've been texting, chatting, stuff like that, and then
Oh,
like let's
uh-huh.
say like they've been talking on and off or whatever for some time, and like the guy was just stupid, he made a mistake, he sent the dick pic or whatever the fuck, like
Uh-huh.
for whatever reason, and then she decides to use this law on him and stuff like that. Next thing you know, he gets sent to 2 years in jail and then gets put on the sex offenders registry because he made a dumb mistake, right?
So
Now,
like he's
granted, he shouldn't have done it, but still, I don't think that 2 years of prison in like a place on a sex offender registry is a place for that. I
like
don't think that's
no, okay.
yeah. I just don't think it's right, you know. And I see these things that are now starting to get tailored against men, and I'm like, well, what about women? Like, you didn't include women in this. Like, well, what if a woman like sends like a pic of her vajayjay to another girl, or like sends like her like her boobs or some shit like that to a guy on Tinder that she really wants to date or something like that. Does that
I
apply to them as well?
I promise you that shit gonna get thrown out the case.
Yeah,
Cause
facts.
now that scenario you just pointed out,
Mm-hmm.
like, did he send it while they were off? Would he have sent it while they were like off that time, or like were they still like on?
Said what?
Like their little like let's say they had a relationship, like the guy and the girl had a
Mm-hmm.
relationship. Would they be off or they were on again when he sent the picture?
This isn't a particular story. This is
No,
just
no,
like
that's
an
what I'm saying.
example.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Your scenario,
Yeah,
like,
like let's say they've been talking for like a month or two or something like that, and
yeah,
then he sends the picture, right?
while they were talking.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
But
yeah,
even if they're not talking, like, cause in that article specifically they said strangers, right?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's like, well, okay, well, what if it's not a stranger, right? And I'm like, I bet that they're still gonna apply that law, like full force, whether they're a stranger or not.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like, if they were like, let's say they were talking, and he sends it to her, cause two people talking, like, what would they not do?
Hmm.
Then, they stop talking again, and then she decides to use that shit against him. You basically like fucking over his life, like,
Yeah,
and for fucking what?
yeah, and that's the crazy shit because it's like also like when you compare like nudity in public, like a woman could like walk out like full nude in public,
Mm-hmm.
and like she may get dirty looks and like like the police might come up to her and be like, hey ma'am, like he put on some clothes. They'll try to like put a wrapper blanket around her. But if you see a guy running down the street, they will tackle him in a second. I mean, they will fuck that guy's shit up. I
Yeah.
mean, who knows what the fuck they'll do to him like on the car. They'll probably let him sit fucking like with his meat out in the station with his hands like tied behind his or with his hands handcuffed behind his back or some shit,
Just
you know?
humiliate the fuck out of this man.
Yeah, and it's like granted you shouldn't like public nudity isn't something that you should just like go around doing in like all parts of society. But it's still like it's like when we keep talking about this whole thing of like, you know, equality and stuff like that, it's like no. Equal on all parts, not with some parts, on all parts, on every single plane.
thing.
Yep. If not, then fuck it. Then no.
Hey,
Right?
double, double standards at its finest.
Yep.
Welcome to the very first episode of the Last Breed podcast. I'm your host, Chris, aka Browardshinobi,
I'm your co-host, Justin. Welcome.
and this is episode 1. Yeah, sorry we want to do a podcast, and after many, also many attempts, here we
Mhm.
are today.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we had to do to get through to get to this point.
Oh God, a lot of hustling.
But we're here now.
Yeah.
And we're moving on up. It's the radio show killer right here. Radio show killers.
For real. We starting this with high quality. So, but,
Facts.
but how's your day been?
Man, it was shitty. I ain't gonna lie. Like fuck working. I hate this shit. I can't wait until I never have to work a day in my life again. But it is what it is. Push through, persevere, and after this, I'm probably just gonna be productive again and probably find some shit to do. Yeah. What about you though?
I hate that I have to do stuff on my day off. Like my full day off.
Mm-hmm.
Like no class, no work. I could just be by myself in my lonesome. Like you think like, you have a day off and you're just gonna do, like absolutely nothing, right? Wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Had to make sure my dog was good. Had to, clean some stuff around the apartment, then my room. Got to finish some things for another project. Got to make sure, some things for clients are done. So it's been something. So it's hard trying to take over the world.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if it was easy, everyone would do it, and then
Yeah.
the world would be even a bigger mess than it already is now. So
yeah. Nah. Man.
all right,
21 Savage talking about. But
you got a topic or anything you wanna start this off with, other than the short little article that we just went over?
let's see. Shoot, let's think of a one word phrase, and we could talk about stuff like that just to get things going. Right, just starting on a topic
A one-word phrase.
like
That's a way to put a nigga on the spot. Okay.
shoot, like just a one word or a specific person in general. Let just to have folks know that we're built different.
Okay.
Any
can't-
word,
I
any
can't-
word in general.
I can't think. Goddamn thing,
Can't
man.
think
I'm
of
about
a
to-
word?
Yeah, cause you put me on the spot, man.
Okay. I'll think of one. Shoot. Simping.
Simping.
Yeah. We'll start this on. Let's the hoorah for all first episodes.
Okay.
Simping.
All right. So what about simping?
What is simping?
Simping. I
Simp-
mean, man, that issue has been tackled so many times. Like, basically, like putting. It's like it's a shortening of like simpleton, and then it's like putting a woman up on a pedestal, essentially. And it's like other like definitions and shit like that, like Urban Dictionary and like putting a average woman up on a pedestal, or like doing all these other things for women and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, and it's so sad because it's like I feel like a lot of us guys in our earlier stages like simped a lot because we were told that that's what worked and that's what women liked.
Yeah, I never really understood that stuff. Looking at it back now, never really understood as to why we had to do those type of things just to get the girl that we want. Because I thought everything was supposed to be 50-50, but no. Like,
Fuck no.
honestly, like to me, sipping is like you said, putting a woman on a pedestal to little to no avail
Hmm.
for anything for the guy's benefit. Like, you
Yeah,
know,
I think also it can get into the territory of like not having enough respect for yourself, not standing up for yourself, like not having boundaries and shit like that. Like
yeah,
kind of like being a pussy, like kind of like being whipped in a way. I think
yeah,
that kind of like at least goes hand in hand with being a simp in like a lot of ways. Cause like you ever see like a girl like dog out her man like in front of everyone and just like completely embarrass him?
bro.
Like
Oh
that shit
my
is cringe.
god,
Like that shit is hard to watch. It's just like, oh
that
god,
shit's sad.
man, please untuck your nuts. Like please grab your balls right now and be
Mm,
a
mm, mm,
goddamn
mm.
man. Like you ain't got to fucking pimp smack the hoe or anything like that. But I mean, at least
Nah,
like
like you gotta give her
yeah,
that look. Be like, bro, you fucked up.
or
You know
at
you
least like
fucked up,
stand
right?
on your own 2 feet or walk out or something like something to have some respect from yourself, right? And
Yeah.
oh, I mean,
But do you think it's like entirely the woman's fault as to why like a man can be a simp, or can it go both ways, or it's the man's fault?
I think it's entirely uh on the men and women. Like
So both.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's both because I think all dating problems stem from both men and women because we both kind of like perpetrate these the way that we treat each other, the way that we act, the way that we interact with each other and stuff like that. This it creates a cycle a lot of times, right? So
Mhm.
like say for instance, right, like there's like like a lot of guys start out as like a simp, right? Or
Yeah.
just as like just a nice guy, an average nice guy, right? And then they find a girl, they date a girl and stuff like that. They get really like in love, they get head over heels, and they're a simp, right?
Yeah.
Because they're head over heels. They're like, oh, I want to keep her, I want to be as nice to her, and want to treat her right, and blah blah blah, and this and that, and I want to be a nice guy. I want to be a nice guy, right?
Mhm.
And the nice guy, what a lot of people don't realize, especially at a younger age, is that the nice guy is boring, right? The nice guy has no grit to him. He has like not a lot of ambition, things like that. And just being nice, you don't really bring a lot to the table as a guy. So it's like you have nothing about yourself, right?
Mhm.
So then the nice guy gets his heart broken. A simp gets his heart broken. Girl either breaks up with him, leaves him for like a jock, or like like cheats on him and like fucks some random other bad boy or like some like random other like like hood dude or some shit like that, right? So then that simp guy
Become
sees
future.
that and then he becomes that piece of shit, right? And then he treats all the women that he gets with badly. And then he creates
The future
that
effect.
girl who's going to end up breaking another good guy's heart. And it's like the cycle continues, right? It's
It's funny.
disgusting, right? And yeah, I think that both men and women play a part in it. And I think women play a part in at least the a lot of the simping part is that like when you ask like a lot of girls, whether they'll be like maybe a friend you had in high school or like your mother or like a sister or something like that, you
Mhm.
ask them like, what do girls like? Like, how do I get the girl, right? And a lot of times, like, what do they tell you? They say, oh, just be nice, just be a gentleman, just be a good guy, just be nice, be a gentleman, hold the door open for her, like, never like do this, never do that, stuff like that, right?
Right.
That is the like worst advice to give a man. Like, and the thing is that a lot of guys don't know what advice to give guys because a lot of them just act like piece of shit. They're like, oh, just be an asshole or whatever, right? Or oh, just and then they'll give you like the whole same, shit like, oh yeah, just be a gentleman, be nice, blah blah blah, this and that, right? But it doesn't work, right? So then it's like guys are stuck between this limbo of like, okay, do I be a simp or do I be an asshole, right?
I feel as though you just need to be a man on your own terms when it comes to stuff like that. Like,
Facts.
still be a gentleman, but at the same time, don't let no girl walk all over you. You know, telling you what to do and whatnot. Like, if there's something, like, the best advice that I can give, like, to any youngling out there listening to this, like, is to stand on your own terms. Like, the one thing that you really need to have as a man is your word. So
Mhm.
if there is something that you feel as though that you do not want to do for your own reasoning, for your own reasonings, that is completely understandable, and you need to let whoever that is define your word know said thing, because if you break your word, like, per se, like, you're not a man. Like, and
Yeah.
I'm not saying like, oh, like, if you break your word, you're not a man. Like, I'm not.
Well, at least you're not a man of your word.
Yeah, you're just not a man of your word. Like,
Mhm.
granted, I'm not in no position to, like, judge what a man does, with his life. What you do with your life, that's your life. Like, but I do want to, like, say that you should be able to, just be, on your own shit to your own accord. Like,
Mhm.
don't have to, follow what anyone else is saying or follow what anyone else, is doing, because we are different people. We all have different results. So, but nah, simping.
Yeah, I think another big part of that is a lot of people don't have like enough it's tough, like, so say for instance, like, when it comes to dating, I see like every relationship I have or whatever, like whenever it's like there's like something that failed or like something that, like, say the relationship didn't work out, there's
Mm-hmm.
something that I always took with me from that relationship where I'm like, all right, I noticed that, I'm never doing that again. Or like, or I noticed that that's a red flag. If I see that shit, I'm running the other fucking way. Like,
Right.
like as fast as I fucking can, right? I
Facts.
think a lot of people don't take those
Lessons.
experiences. Yeah, they don't take those lessons and learn from them, right?
Right.
Some of them might be like traumatized from it and be like, "Oh, no, this is like my last boyfriend and like or my last girlfriend." And either they'll like, like completely like avoid them and not even try to like vet other things and try to like take it slower or try to stand their ground or try to change the way that they act differently, or they completely like fall into the same thing that they did before and do the same exact
Yeah,
shit.
that's all
Yeah.
I was gonna get to. Like, I noticed that, a lot of folks, like, swearing up and down that, they want different, they want to see different, but they keep going into, like, the same exact thing again, to where, to literally, like, no avail. And not and I mean, like, as in for, like, all parties, not just, like, men, women as well. So,
Mhm.
like, these guys, they want, a girl, like, cause I was thinking about it. I was just like, I was gonna say you can't have your cake and eat it too, but then I remembered that's a stupid phrase.
How so?
Like, you can't have a cake and eat it too,
Yeah.
but
Because
the
if you
cake,
eat it, you don't have any more cake.
but that don't make no sense. A cake is supposed to be meant for eating.
Yes, but it's like, okay, say for instance, I put a cake on the table, right?
Yeah,
You want to have the cake,
right.
but you eat it. So you no longer have the cake. You ate it. You can't have your cake and eat it too.
That's just a dumb ass phrase. I'm
It's it's
sorry.
it's a it's it's a way of saying, and I think there was like, this is weird, like the I watched like a Unabomber series and that's how they found the dude, but it was basically like the way it was said. It was like we say it wrong now or something like that. It was like supposed to be said a different way. But like yeah, it's essentially it's like, well, you can't have all these luxuries and then like, like have all these different things. Like it's like you can't have everything you want. You
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
make
yeah.
sacrifices,
Yeah,
right?
and I
Yeah.
get and see. Okay, we'll get back to the cake phrase, but yeah, like, as far as that, like, girls want, this and that type of guy, but they don't want, you know the work, behind. They don't want to, work to, get that guy.
Mhm.
Same with guys, you want this and that girl, but you need to, try to, up, like, level up for yourself.
Yeah.
That's just with both parties. Like,
Yeah.
if you want this and that person, you need to level up to, like for me, if I want to, like, talk to someone like Chloe Bailey, I need to get, like, I need to level all the way up
Yeah.
just to get to her.
Yeah, especially like with the way that like the dating market is going, competition is like it. Well, I don't know. I think that's easy. I think honestly, you can get in the top ranks of men simply by working out because most people don't work out, right?
Yeah.
So it's like if you work on yourself, which it does take time, it does take effort, but if you work on yourself, you can get in like the top 20% of like the sexual marketplace very easily. But a lot of people don't want to put in that work, as you said before, right? And it's like if you want those baddies, well then you have to rise yourself to that standard, right? And it's like I think one thing that a lot of guys, especially, they don't realize how low their value is.
Bruh,
Like,
that's so funny that you said that,
yeah,
cause my homegirl works at a gas station, and she was telling me how some dude came into the store and was just like, oh, I think you cute. Let me get your numbers. You can
hmm
be my girlfriend. Blah blah blah. And she looking like, wait, what? I don't want you. And he talking about some. Oh, I got oh, what you mean? I probably got money than all them, other boys and blah blah blah. I'm just like, why
uh,
are you? If you got all this money, why are you at a gas station looking bummy as hell, trying to talk to some girl?
true. But then also, I will add critique to the other side as well. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's saying like something like, "Oh boy, I don't want you" or something like that. Like,
I don't think she
that's
necessarily said like, "Boy, I don't want you." Like she,
yeah.
she politely declined. She was
Okay,
like,
good.
"Yeah, like
Yeah,
you,
but
yeah."
but there is also like like something that happens to a lot with a lot of women. A lot of so I think everyone, men and women, overestimate their value, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I think that they probably do it at the same scale. I was gonna say women do it a little bit more, but like I think they do it at the same scale. I think there's a lot of women out there who really have nothing to bring to a relationship
Mm-hmm.
and are very rude and masculine and like just very arguable and just a fucking head case and just chaotic that think that they're like, oh, I'm a bad bitch and this and that, and oh, I deserve the best, I deserve a six seven eight figure man, stuff like that, blah blah blah, whatever. It's like, no, like you're very average, or like you might look attractive, but you bring nothing of value to a relationship. I mean, like honestly, and the same thing with a lot of guys too. Like a lot of guys think like, oh yeah, I take care of you, I do this and that and stuff like that, blah blah blah. It's like, dude, like you don't know how to dress like a man, you don't own a suit, you probably don't wash your ass, you look crusty and bummy. And this isn't to down on men or women, but this is
But these
to
are like
give you
perfect
realistic.
examples as to like
Yeah,
why things don't go your way.
yeah, and it's like you really have to take a look back and think like, maybe I'm not the prize I think I am, right? I'm over here thinking I'm an 8 or a 9. I'm really more like a 5 or a 4, right? And you really
Facts.
gotta like take that time to really like analyze yourself and see like, okay, like what am I doing right, what am I doing wrong, right? Because like something as simple as like fashion, like even if you got money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now if you got money, money helps women overlook a lot of things in a guy, right? But if you got money, it's like, say for instance, if you got money, but then like let's say your fashion's off, right? So like say you got a lot of money, but you don't like show it with what you wear, and let's say like you dress real bummy, right? So,
Right.
like you see like a lot of the billionaires wear like fucking like sweatpants or jeans and like sneakers and like some random tee, right? And it's like you ain't gonna be pulling no girls walking out like that. But
Like
if
you
you
gotta
come
look.
out in like a nice a nice like ironed like crew neck or V neck shirt with some nice iron jeans and like maybe like some Chelsea boots or some shit like that,
Mm-hmm.
that you look good, man.
Bro,
Like
I heard that these niggas wearing fucking Gucci, Louis, and these
yeah. Oh,
designer
that's
these
that's
designer things.
another time.
Which
Ooh,
I'm not which cause I'm not gonna lie, like if I have money, like I'll buy some, design. Like I'll buy some, little bit, designer stuff.
I'm be
But
honest, I wouldn't.
you wouldn't?
I would no.
Not even like one. Not.
If I had like 5 million plus,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I would buy a shirt or a pair of shoes or something like that here and there, right?
Yeah.
But for me personally, I think that you can look astronomically better than anyone who's wearing Gucci or Louis or Fendi or like whatever these other name brands are if you simply know how to dress right. You can literally go into Walmart or Target and look better than someone else who came out of fucking Gucci store with like $100. You can go in
No,
come out
and
looking at a Target
yeah.
looking better than someone who spent 10 grand in a Gucci store.
No, that's facts. But I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, as far as like stuff like their brand, like exclusive shit that you can't like find at just like any regular mall.
Yeah,
like I'll probably get
yeah,
stuff like
and
that.
and yeah, that's all cool for you, but for me personally, nah.
Yeah,
Like in that case, I probably wouldn't honestly. Like I might buy it just to say I have it, or like if it's like an asset.
Oh nah,
But a lot of those things,
I'm wearing that shit. Nah, I'm sorry. Like
nah,
I don't understand why people like, especially like with shoes. Like people would just buy the shoes and not wear them.
yeah,
That's dumb as fuck. That's
yeah,
really dumb. Like
yeah.
I am wearing those
Well,
shoes.
well, I would say at that point, it's because it's an asset at that point.
Yeah.
Instead of a liability, because as soon as you put the shoes on, like say for instance, right, like let's say that there's like a limited pair of like Jordans and like only like 5,000 pairs got released, right? So they're super rare, super valuable, right?
Yeah.
Let's say you buy them, you don't wear them for 20 years. Now that's an asset. Now instead of like buying them for like, let's say like you buy them for like $500, or well, if it was only like 5,000 pairs, it'd probably be way more expensive than that. But just for the example, let's say you bought them for like $5,000, right? You waited 20 years. Next thing you know, they're worth like 500,000, right? That's an asset. As soon as you put them shoes on, it's a liability and it just costs you money. It's money at your pocket.
But I don't mean as far as like those like rare like limited edition shoes, like just like mostly like how sneakerheads just be wearing, just be like keeping like all these shoes like.
I guess it's just a hobby for them.
Yeah.
But
I couldn't. Yeah.
Back on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Back on.
Back on the original topic. We kind of went off on a tangent, but we're going back on. That's okay. We keep track. We skirt off. We veered off a little bit, but it's all right. We gonna get back on there.
That's the benefit of the journey.
Yep. But yeah. So that comes back to the whole fashion thing of like with men and stuff like that. Like you can go out looking like a bum and have all the money in the world, but you're not gonna pull girls like that. Like it's just not, unless you can physically show that you drive a Lambo or some shit like that, or you have a whole bunch of money in the bank. You know, girls ain't gonna overlook that, right? Like some of the most important things as a man is like, you know, like hygiene. Very important. Wash your ass, brush your teeth, wash your face, hydrate, put some lotion on, you know, be able to dress well, be able to speak well, be able to speak clearly and articulately.
We ain't talking
right?
about Kodak.
Yeah, like, you know, like, and like simple things like that, and also confidence, being able to, you know, like, you know, just the way you hold yourself, right? And those are the things that a lot of guys don't understand that they have to work on. If they did, they'd do a lot better with women.
Yeah.
But then again, the dating marketplace is fucked up right now.
What do you think women should do as far as like trying to, you know, get men?
Honestly, it's honestly not that hard in my opinion, because in my opinion, I think a man has to build his worth. I think a woman has to preserve it, right? So one thing, and this is gonna be probably a little controversial, but stop this whole hookup culture, sleeping around, fucking a whole bunch of other different dudes, and having a hoe phase and stuff like that. That's one of the biggest things I think a woman could do to keep her value high, right? Because us as guys, like guy to guy, man to man, right now, right?
Yep.
Let's say there's two girls, right?
Yeah.
You got two girls. Both of them in your head are like an 8. You're like, oh, they're both cute. I want to date them, right?
Yeah.
And let's say they're just like, you can magically see the number of the people that she slept with over her head, right?
Yeah.
She doesn't know that you know. They don't know that you know, right?
Yeah.
And let's say the girl on the left, her number's 3, and a girl on the right, her number's 30. Which one you gonna pick?
Sheesh.
Which one you gonna pick?
And they're both equally fine?
They're both equally fine. Which one you gonna pick? Don't you
Damn.
give me that. Don't you
No,
give me
cause
that.
like there's
That
cause
hissing and teeth sucking. Don't you give me
nah,
that
cause
shit. You know
it's really
goddamn well.
I swear no, cause like honestly like it's really. I mean I gotta go with three,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
there's gotta be like is she a freak?
No,
It's
no,
the
no,
one
no.
with the three. No, I'm saying it's the
Not
one
like,
with the
well,
three a
okay.
freak.
Let's say this then. You're doing this to date her,
I'm doing this to like act
not fuck. Yeah,
see marriage
yeah, yeah. For marriage.
for marriage. Yeah, I'll go with three.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if
That's
it's for
but
sex, I mean, then it's like,
I mean if it's just like body like if I'm looking for like if I'm solely like looking for a girl that has like a less body count, like of course like it's gonna be three.
mm-hmm.
But if I'm looking for like stuff overall, cause I've dated a girl like with a higher than usual like body count, but
Yeah.
I mean the relationship was it was pretty straight. It
Mm-hmm.
just had its own problems, but either way like I don't think I wouldn't necessarily say like a body count should defer other men from being in a relationship with them.
But it does, and that's just kind of like the way that like things are, like because and here's the thing, like they did a study. There was a
Mm.
scientific study. I'm gonna have to find the study and link it and like like post it to the video or whatever.
Yeah.
But there was a study that basically said that like the more the more sexual partners that a woman had in her past, the more likely that a relationship was to fail in her future. So like the more bodies that a woman racked up, the less likely she was to like attain a strong, meaningful, long-lasting relationship, right?
But why did it fail though?
It doesn't matter why it failed. The point that we're looking at is the correlation. Like the fact that like if a woman has more bodies, a woman has a higher body count, then she's more likely to fail in like in a relationship versus the girls with the lower body counts tend to have more successful relationships, right?
But it's like why? But you can't really like say like as far as that just because you have a higher body count you're more likely to fail in a relationship. It should be a reason as to like why they're prone to fail in whatever future relationships that they're having.
Well, it's because of like the the way our brains work because our brains like women and men's brains work differently, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like a guy like for instance, right? Let's say if you hook up with a girl,
Yeah.
and let's say maybe you hooked up with her like two, three, maybe four times, right?
Yeah.
What's the one question that she always asks you? So
What are we?
exactly. What that same question she always asks you is, "What are we?" Right?
Yeah.
Now, what does that tell us about men and women? That tells us that women, they have more of an emotional connection with sex, right?
Yeah.
So, like a lot of times, when they want sex, they want it from someone that they are very attracted to, that they can someone have emotional connection with, and they usually build that through sex, right?
Yeah.
But us guys, we can smash and go on to the next one, and it's like no problem, right? So it's like when you mess with that, it messes with like the neurochemistry in their brain, and it isn't to say like, oh, like women can't do this and that. I'm sure there are some women out there who can smash and go on to the next guy, right? But we're talking about like the average woman, the average man,
Yeah.
and it's like probably like around like maybe like 80%. The average woman can't really do that. The average woman gets some type of emotional connection, right? So if they're constantly getting emotional connections and then dropping it and then moving on and on to the next one, that means that it's whenever it comes to a long-term relationship, that emotional connection is much harder to obtain because she has a higher body count, right? Now, it does affect men somewhat too, but it affects us at much higher numbers, right? So
Mhm.
like probably like, maybe like over 30 bodies, but it's like once a woman starts to accumulate a lot of bodies, well, that's what happens, right? And that's just one of the things. Of course, like I said, I'm gonna find the study and exactly which one it was, and we'll link it and everything like that. But yeah, so the one thing I think women could do is stop, sleeping around as much as they have been, because boy, the stories you hear in college, the numbers you hear in college is oh god. But
Mm.
anyway, that's one thing they could do. Another thing they could do is be real with themselves and look at themselves and say, "Hey, this is things I can work on." Right? A lot of
Oh my
women,
god,
a
that
lot
shit
of
really
people,
annoy me.
yeah, a lot of people in general, but a lot of women especially are very overweight and obese now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like when you look at attractiveness and what people perceive as attractive, and let me be clear when I say this. If you're overweight or if you're fat or obese, I'm not calling you ugly, but you are not as attractive as you would be if you were slimmer on the slimmer side, or if you were on the more muscular side, right? Like,
What I really hate when it comes to stuff like that
mm-hmm,
is like, let's say, someone dates a someone that's over a girl that's overweight,
yeah,
and mind you, they love them for who they are. Like me particularly, I like big girls, like I
mm-hmm,
do. So it would just annoy me when a girl would I'm dating that would be overweight, just be like, oh, I think I'm too fat and blah blah blah.
mm-hmm,
I mean, for one thing, like my response would just be like, I mean, I like the way that you are, like 100%. But if you feel that type of way, maybe you should change it. But you know what they don't do?
yeah, we'll change it.
Exactly. And that's what really like, or at least like try to put an effort to like actually like put the change. And it's like I get like it takes time and patience and effort, but you know especially like these like long term relationships, you're trying to actually like, it's not like you're trying to do it just to have them change and what that for the benefit of you. You're doing it for the betterment of them, because being uh you know could not just when it comes to like weight loss, but like just any change in like general, like maybe they want to try to find a skill, they want to change in ways that they in their like normal habits, like
Mm-hmm.
they're it's benefiting for them.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I won't say aggravating, but it's just kind of frustrating
Mm-hmm.
when they would say they're gonna do this and that and the third, when they don't.
Yeah, and that's with a lot of people. Um,
Yeah.
in me personally, I think that if you are obese or are overweight, I think that you should be, trying to correct that in your life. And it doesn't mean that you need to be fucking slim like a fucking hourglass figure or anything like that. You just need to get down to a healthier weight,
Mm-hmm.
because walking around at the weight that you are now, it's not healthy for you. It's not good for you, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just not good, and humans weren't really supposed to be big like that anyway, right? You got
Yeah.
a lot of stored up energy uh, in your fat cells that you haven't been using, right? So get up, take a walk or something like that. But yeah, it's I see that a lot with girls, especially though. Is that a lot of them want to just be accepted, and I think that's why a lot of the plus size movement and stuff like that has kind of started and taken head, um, to just like accept big people the way they are and stuff like that. And it's like that's
Mm-hmm.
fine if you want to be like that, right? But here's a caveat to that too. If you want attention from guys, or if you want attention from like, if you're an overweight dude, if you want attention from girls and stuff like that, well, you're not going to get that much attention if you are overweight or if you are like above what you should be, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would be much better off if you cut some weight or slim down or bulked up and gained some muscle or whatever the case may be, right?
Right.
Like even girls, like girls who be going to the gym and they be having like, these, they be getting butts from like doing squats all the time and like big legs and stuff like that. That should be looking attractive, right? Like at least in my mind, right? And skinny girls, they look attractive. Girls who's got some figure to them look attractive and stuff like that. And that's just me personally. I'm not really a fan of big girls like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just me. But from like a general standpoint, most of society prefers people who are on the more so lighter side than the heavier side,
Right.
right? And that's just kind of how we are. And it's like if you want to just be accepted the way you know how you are, fine, cool. Just accept the territory that comes with that. Just accept the consequences. But if you're not and you want like more, well, you also have to accept the very real possibility that you are probably going to have to lose some weight, you know? And that's something that a lot of women could do, especially in the black community. I think there was like a statistic that was saying about like 70 or 80% of the women in the black community are like overweight or obese. That's
Mm.
bad. I
Yeah.
mean, then again, it's America. America's fat as hell as anyway, but especially with all the fast food and all the sugar we
Shoot.
intake. But yeah, like that's higher than all the other communities. You know, I think it's like the Latino community uh is like right behind us. Um, but it's like when you walk around and you see a lot of the people who are getting a lot of attention, right?
Hmm.
A lot of them are slim, a lot of them had good figures, right? So what does that tell you? That means like if you want that same attention, well, you have to work on yourself, right? And if you're a girl and you're not like attractive, like say like maybe you're a girl who's average, you're like, oh well, those girls got pretty privilege and all that stuff like that, right? I will say this for women. One thing that you can do to increase your attractiveness is be nice and feminine. That's it. Like honestly, like a girl can raise her attractiveness just by being a kind person, right?
No,
Like
that's facts.
like for us, right? Like we've met women that are like beautiful, like fucking drop dead, like gorgeous dimes, right?
Right.
But ugly on the inside. It dropped her like down. Like it's like, oh, I don't want to even deal with her. Like it's gotten to the point to
Yeah.
where it's like a girl is so ugly on the inside, you don't even want to get like intimate with her. Like it's just like, oh, I don't even want to deal with you. Like you are a different type of like disgusting.
I just want to put Clorox in that part of my memory.
Yeah, me too. Me too. But yeah, a girl who has a nice personality, not just nice, right? Just don't be like a pushover nice girl, but be
Like,
feminine and be kind and have a nice personality, have some warmth to you. And even if you're an
shoot,
average girl, you can make yourself like a 7. Like honestly.
just a 7?
I mean, I'm not saying like just 7. I'm not saying cuz it's like it's only so far that that can push you,
Yeah.
right? Like it's like if you're attractive, then you're attractive, and like the personality can bring you down a little bit. And if you're fairly average, or maybe a little bit on the lower side, then you know it's only so much that that stuff can bring you up, right? Because you have to work on multiple parts, because it's like if you were just an average girl and simply your personality can make you a 10, well then you know attraction doesn't really have that much weight anymore, right? Like
Yeah.
yeah, so it's like a certain limit. And I'm not saying it's like a certain scale, like, oh, only if you have a nice personality that only counts for 2 points or anything like that, right? But I am saying that if you are in maybe like a fairly average guy or fairly average girl, having a nice personality, not just being a nice guy or a nice girl or being a pushover or just being a people pleaser, but having a nice personality, having good social skills, having some charisma, being able to have some warmth to you, being able to know how to interact with people if you're socially awkward, right? Those things make you more attractive as well. It's not just about how you look, it's not just about your weight, it's not just about the way you dress, it's not just about your personality, your charisma, social skills. It's about all of it. All of that encumbers itself into your attraction, right? And say maybe if you are a little bit on the weaker side, like say in terms of looks, well, hey, guess what? You can get in the gym, you can bulk up, you can lose some weight, you can work on your social skills, your charisma, you can work on your fashion, you can work on so many other things to make yourself better. You can work on your game. You can work on talking to people, and like that part
For real.
that
No.
is a part of social interaction. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Nah. Like, one thing I realized, like, if you could be, bro, you could be ugly. Like, you could look like, what was that? That I forgot his name. What it called? That movie from The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
oh
I forgot his name.
fuck, what is his name? Was it? It wasn't Igor, was it?
Nah, that no. You're talking about like actual Igor.
Yeah, fuck, what was his name?
Cause I feel like it's a general ass name.
Yeah, it was something that I'm gonna be pissed when I
It
when I see it.
is.
Quasimodo. Yep,
Quasimodo,
quasi
yeah,
fucking moto. Yep,
Quasimodo.
I'm mad at myself for not remember that.
Yeah,
But yeah,
you could look like Quasimodo himself, but if you got game,
yeah. I mean, honestly, like it's like that old saying, like you could be ugly as hell, but if you can make a girl laugh, you
oh
got a
yeah,
chance, right? And that is true. I have seen it many times, right? And some dudes, like some dudes just got a mouthpiece on them, right?
yeah.
Some dudes, like they got they may be you may look like a Quasimodo, but you can work on your social skills. You can be nice. You can be kind. You can be like a nice person to be around. You can get buff, right? Because even if you got a Quasimodo face, you look good when you jack, boy. Like like there's so many things. If you dripped out every time you step out the house, those are things that you can work on that make you look so much better. And fuck for everyone else, right? That gives you a lot of confidence as well, working on yourself, right?
Oh yeah, like you definitely will have a lot of confidence, like
Yeah,
working on stuff that is, like really like beneficial for in your part.
yeah, and it's like the better you feel, the better you feel about going out and talking to people, right? And shit, you may still get shot down when you work on those things, but you'll feel better because you'll be like, man, I don't even care because I look damn good. Like I don't give a fuck, right? Right?
Plus, someone will appreciate it, honestly.
Yeah.
Like you be trying to impress this one baddie, but you'll find an even like far finer baddie. So
Or maybe someone who isn't necessarily a baddie, but who's really cute, and you're like, I like this person. They have a nice personality. They're really nice too. Like I think I want to see what happens with this person, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
you can go that route too.
But usually that I don't know. Like I usually see that happen. Like you just because they're kind of a baddie in your eyes, I guess.
Oh
It's like
yeah, true,
yeah,
very true. Yeah, like it's like I remember one dude said one time it's like the only 10 is like your girlfriend or your wife or something like that. And he's like this guy had like a really interesting scale for like rating women, and he was like, "There's no such thing as a 10. The only 10 there is your girlfriend or your wife." I was like, "Oh, that's an interesting way to look at it." Like he had a very interesting 10. I think like his very interesting scale. He was like he was rating girls that most people would like rate like a 7 like as a 5, and so that he had like a really weird scale. It was hard to explain, but
nah. If you fired a girl, the most I'll give any other girl is maybe an 8.5
hmm
at most. But yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But in conclusion, men just need to work on like a lot of things overall. As far
everyone
as well,
everyone needs
yeah,
to work on
yeah.
a
I was
lot of
about to say,
things.
yeah, I was about
Yeah,
to say men and
yeah,
women,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, men needs to work on their physical appearance, personal hygiene, and try to find new ways, new skills to improve for themselves and only themselves. And that, cause it's funny, my dad will always tell me this, like
hmm
the girls, the glory and all that stuff, that's gonna come afterwards. Like right now, you
Yep.
need to focus on yourself, focus on what's important, for you.
Realer words have not been spoken. Like
I mean,
I
he
didn't
is.
realize, I didn't realize like how much time guys have to really build ourselves up and to enjoy life. Like,
Yeah.
cause I see guys in like their 30s and 40s, they're fucking balling, having a good time, dog. And now I can't wait for them. I can't wait for my 30s and 40s. But now I'm like I'm enjoying my youth and I'm like enjoying the grind and the build up and stuff like that. And sometimes and someday I'll look back on this and think
It's
like,
like,
oh wow, like
yo, that was a long time coming. Like
yep,
even looking at it, like 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 the teens is just like, wow,
yep,
that's a lot. Like younger me would be proud. Like
hmm
he's like, yo, I did all this.
yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah. And I think and I have more of like a like since I'm a guy, I know from like the guy's perspective, but I really think that this is a big focus for men,
Hmm.
especially because a lot of guys are just giving up now. Like a lot of guys see like a lot of the expectations that like a lot of women have. Like it's like to points where like women think that a guy had that. Well, not all women, but a lot of women nowadays start to think that like a guy who's making 50 grand a year isn't doing shit with his life, or he's like bottom of the barrel. It's like no, that's good. Like living on your own, like making 50 grand, that's good, right? And but so like the standards are getting higher, but it's like if men just simply apply themselves and work on themselves, instill some discipline in their life, some accountability and stuff like that, then they can really go far and high, and they could really get the luxuries and the treasures and all the glitters that they want. You know
Do you think they're looking at the wrong? Do you think folks look at the wrong places
what for what?
for like men and women like trying to look for each other? Like, do you think they're looking like at the wrong places? Like you
Oh,
wouldn't
definitely,
like you wouldn't try to
definitely
meet your wife at a
at a club.
yeah, at a
Yeah,
club, at
yeah.
a like maybe a party or whatnot. That's not play like how I don't know. Like when I think about stuff like that, it's like how would you like go about finding a girl?
Ooh, that is a little harder, honestly. Um, I mean, like I've heard people talk about like you go to places to where it's like you would expect to find high quality people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like one common thing I see a lot is like the library. Like it's like, oh, we'll go to the library or something like that, right?
How would
Like
you approach like how would you approach them like that? Like
you have to have tact. Like you have to time it perfectly, and like of course don't stalk her, right?
yeah, that's all
But
I'm saying. It's
but
like
like it's like like you that it's like the same approach, and like having game of like just like an average situation of like going up to a girl like maybe in like a bar or something like that. Is like of course like if she's like reading, like don't interrupt her. But like say if like you walk past, you're like, oh, she's kind of cute, and maybe she's like looking at a book and like seeing if she maybe like it, and maybe you've read it, but like, oh yeah, that I've read that book before. It's a great book. Or oh, like what do you have right there? That looks interesting, or something like that. Spark up a little conversation, stuff like that. Don't try to press it too much, but like try to have it be a little organic. And if you sense that the conversation isn't really carrying too well, and you see that her interest isn't really that high, well then okay, just call it quits. Okay, well thank you, have a nice day, ma'am, and it was nice talking to you, and then just go on about it, right? And it's like as a guy, you also can't expect that every single girl is gonna fawn over you that you see in like those
yeah.
higher places, right? And also like places that a lot of maybe people hang out, right? So I mean, maybe you could meet her at like a higher quality restaurant, or maybe like I don't know, maybe even somewhere where there's fun, right? Like an amusement park or some shit like that, or just it's like my best advice for finding higher quality women, or just like finding women, is just go out in life and have fun.
Yeah.
Like those things will find you. You know, you got any ideas on like how you would find those type of women? Like
Going out by yourself, like that's stuff that I want to try to implement. Like I told myself this year that I wanted to like go out as far as like by myself,
mm-hmm.
like cause I know like going out with friends like that's cool, that's dandy, but
Yeah.
actually going out to enjoy for yourself, like
Mm-hmm.
especially like you said, like at upscale restaurants and whatnot. But
And also